Hey.
Hey.
So this is the first time we've done anything like this?
We haven't named it yet.
Okay. Do you want to shoot a name out? We're going to basically talk about a new thing that Sylvie's doing in her training. She's sparring heaps, like 11 to 16 rounds a day. But the chunk of what you're doing is 11 rounds a day with Yodkhunpon. And
That's my morning coffee is.
And if you don't know who Yodkhunpon is, you're missing something big. He's the elbow hunter of 100 stitches, and he's the greatest elbow fighter ever, as we're fond to say.
For sure. He was Rajadamnern and Lumpini Stadium champion at 118.
Yeah, simultaneously, which is rare
It's
in the
crazy.
golden age.
It's crazy.
I think that was 91 or
think that's what he
so,
said, yeah.
when Samson Hassan, who's also from Royet, won Fighter of the Year. So Royet
Had a good year.
had a very good year, middle of the golden age. And so what Yodkhupon is doing with Sylvie is it's sparring.
You're calling it guided sparring.
I think it's not fair to say it's sparring straight.
Right.
Because he's got a belly pad on so you could rip kicks. And he's also now started to pad his...
Made like a makeshift thigh pad.
thigh pad. He's got a shin pad on his right thigh.
Kevin has helped him MacGyver that a few times.
With a focus mitt underneath,
Like,
and then we've taped it. But because Sylvie's been incorporating leg kicks into her various techniques that you've been developing.
Yeah, so there's Kevin's intro. My version, my like straightforward version, is that for 8 years in Thailand, Sylvie has not gotten sparring. Like, I just have not gotten the sparring that I need.
You mean consistent heavy
sparring.
dosage of sparring.
And so in Sylvie 3.0, we were like, it's spar time. Like, it's just time to get the all-you-can-eat buffet of sparring and get into it. And
think how much sparring you should have and double or triple it. Right, baby?
Yeah, it's intense. It's very hard. But so Yodkhunpon is not that much bigger than me, which is really nice, and he's incredible, so he has really good control. So he puts very real pressure, very real dominance on me. He hits me hard, but he absolutely has control at all times. Like, it is not a dangerous... When you look at... People have this idea about Thai sparring as being like all very light and playful. There is not a monolith to Thai sparring. There are all ranges of different sparring in Thailand, and there is hard sparring in Thailand. But even when it's playful, and even when the power is hard, the dominance and the like intensity of pressure is always real.
Right, and for those not super familiar with Thai Muay Thai, dominance is more important than aggression.
Yeah.
So what we wanted to do, we actually film every session, and we come home after the 11 rounds, and we just watch it, and we really try to emphasize all the positive things because it's natural to be super critical, and so we let that kind of fall to the side, and we go through and we'd be like, I like how I'm doing that, and this and that.
Yeah, and we've been doing this for a couple of months now, and it's insane how every day is different.
Yeah.
Like, he brings different things. I'm working on different things. Like, it is not a monotonous experience.
But so what we wanted to do was just, you are the most documented fighter in history, any sport. Your training has been documented in long form since the Master K basement days. Those of you who have been following since the Master K basement days, oh my God. And so what we're doing here is we're going to share with you just the raw, non-highlight footage of 11, it's actually 10 rounds because we had a timer problem and we ended up doing a little over 10 rounds. And we want to share with you also our thoughts on watching and watch it with you to let you know the kinds of things Sylvie is trying to bring out in her sparring experience, like the things we're reaching for. This is like really behind the scenes fighter stuff, and I'm kind of excited by it. And so if you're watching this on YouTube, there's going to be the first section of this, first few rounds are going to be for everyone in the public, and then we're going to put the whole thing up for our patrons, which will be about an hour or so. I don't know, I'm kind of excited. What about you? Trepidatious?
I've got skin in this game. I'm watching myself. So
Well, it's not even about, because you're sparring so heavily, it's really not about whether you do well or poorly in one round or in one technique, or it's really about the high, like letting the water flow over the stone.
yeah,
right?
there's a thing that happens when you have a lot of experience in something. If you've been an actor for 20 years or you have 264 fights, something like this, people love to ask this question, like, what advice would you give to yourself, your younger self, or like, what advice would you give to people first starting out? The greatest shortcut to joy and probably freedom of improvement is stop trying to be good. So advice to little Sylvie starting and advice to Sylvie today, stop trying to be good. So when I'm watching this, I'm not looking for being good. It's seeing like, where's the freedom, where's the flow, where's the hesitation, that kind of thing.
Totally. All right.
All right.
Cue sparring. So, are you going to take the lead on this?
So we basically just like get in the ring and just start going.
We meet up at this empty ring and put the GoPro up, and Sylvie puts on 4-minute rounds, 1-minute rest.
1 minute rest. And if Yodkhunpon sees something or is getting something, he'll make like a suggestion, but it's not instruction.
So right away, I want to talk about one thing you're working on, which is threes, which is, it doesn't matter what strike you throw, we want 3 of them.
Right. Which Kevin and I actually work here at home together, and I have to verbally count I have to like 1, 2, 3 as I'm striking. I don't have to do that with Yodkhunpon yet.
Sense a small complaint there.
But so it's something that we're working on consistently, and bringing it into sparring is very different than what I'm doing with you. So it's good to put it in different contexts.
Okay, but so this is what's kind of interesting about the threes is this is not combos, because these are not memorized patterns. You actually have a really high vocabulary of strike. Oh, wait, there was a timer
issue.
malfunction.
Yeah.
You have a pretty high vocabulary of strike knowledge. Like, the variety of strikes in your brain is a really long list, and you've never really trained combos very much at all.
No.
So there's not memorized patterns. So when we're forcing you to do threes, we're forcing you to pick off that menu of like 20 some odd strikes over and over and over again. And it's really an interesting development.
Yeah, it's
right?
like, say 3 words, like any 3 words. They will be associative,
Yeah.
but just get the 3 in.
Like there, jab, jab, cross to the body. Threes, yeah. And part of what this does, boy, that was a nice pull on his arm. But you can't just laugh, you have to talk too.
Yeah.
You're just going to be like smiling and laughing at this thing.
Maybe. There's a lot of that involved in sparring with Yodkhunpon.
Oh.
Another thing to look for, that came out of nowhere. I was not doing that like
I don't know
even
what
2
you're
days
talking.
ago.
You're talking to people.
Sorry, catching his kick and pulling him. This is something I know how to do, but it just came out of nowhere when I'm talking about how every day it's different. It's not like, today I'm working on parrying teeps. Like, it just comes out of nowhere.
Comes out different.
Because I have so much technique kind of in the background. But something that is worth noting is that I'm working on this Pinsan Chai or Ajahn Surat high arm on my kick. So basically keeping the block up on my kick.
After the kick. Like, don't swing your arm back in the traditional
Like during
sense.
the kick.
Yeah, during the kick. This
Yeah.
is a old school, Pinsan Chai school way of kicking in Thailand.
And Yodkhunpon's into it. He'll punch me really good to like enforce that block.
And he was a Pinsan Chai fighter for a short time. So he's familiar with it. Wow, there's a bunch of strikes.
Yeah.
You're like transfixed by this.
This is very different. The way we're talking right now is different from how we talk to each other about it when we're watching it after. So it's a different mode for me.
Yeah.
Yodkhunpon is actually southpaw, and he's been working with me orthodox, and occasionally will switch. So it's something that I've had to kind of figure out in terms of like, he'll be orthodox with me for days at a time, and then all of a sudden go southpaw, and it's whether or not I'll be able to adjust to that. And I've gotten much better, I think.
Yeah, but he's orthodox here, right?
Yeah, here he's orthodox.
Yeah. So the challenges right here are continuity.
And staying close.
Yeah, staying close is a very big one. Not popping out after your strikes have been thrown.
Yeah.
And these threes are like basically, oh, there you got that high arm guard. That
I left it there,
arm.
which allows me to stay close, which is really important for what I'm working on.
And
those leg
a big
kicks
thing
are
is
getting
low
in
kicks, which you've been adding with elbows.
Been working on a lot of like different angled elbows, which he's actually gotten pretty excited about.
About these threes, what it really does is it teaches you that you can throw a strike when you're not in perfect position, when you're a little bit off balance, because you're coming off the strike.
It rebalances you.
It rebalances you.
You strike on the rebalance.
Yeah. Which also helps you be more balanced in the first place, because you know you're going to the next thing.
Yeah. So this is really, people might not know if they don't see me all the time, which he sees me all the time. Me just standing in like this is really a huge bit of progress. And it's also really difficult because I'm always smaller than people.
Oh, look at those body shots. And look at him kick you to the open side and make you step out.
Yeah.
That, as an orthodox fighter, is something to overcome defensively, is that open side to your right side is available to a very high scoring Thai kick.
Yeah.
And Yodkhunpon likes to pepper you with those kicks on the open side to make you close it.
You can also see his version of staying in. He like actually just stands there and times his strikes. He has such a sweet smile. So that's the end of the round.
What do you mean by staying in? Because you're saying like this is a big challenge for you as a fighter. What does that mean? Not popping out?
Yeah, a lot of people have this where it's like you land your strike and then you pop out either because it's your rhythm because you've done it on the bag. You're popping out as a defense. You're popping out to, as Ray Velez, my boxing coach in America, would say, admire your work. Just like to like look at it.
Maybe have some of that sometimes.
It's very hard to like stand in that pocket, but it's actually safer, and it allows you to like immediately answer back.
Here he's coming with a little bit of energy.
Oi,
1,
elbows.
2, 3.
Yeah.
I'm sitting down right under the camera, and you'll hear me sometimes say 3, 3.
Yeah, you'll see me shoot dirty looks into that corner.
Totally, many dirty looks into the corner. I seem to remember that you got much more rigorous on the 3 as the session went on.
I have never in my life kicked 3 times like that. And now I'm doing it quite often, which is part of staying in closer, but I'm only able to stay in closer because of that.
That was a great example of getting out of position and then throwing a reverse elbow to rebalance yourself. You've been using a lot of reverse elbows to like correct bad positions, overturns, right? It's actually a really nice thing that comes out of having to throw 3.
Yeah.
If you've thrown 1 and you fall over to the side, you still owe 2 more strikes.
Even if they don't land.
Even if they don't land.
It's a little gallop. Everyone likes the gallop.
Yeah, the gallop is a footwork we stole from Yodkhupon. You can see it in the Muay Thai Library. Yodkhupon teaching you this this classic gallop of his.
Which is really good for small fighters like me because you have to catch up to someone and kind of stay ahead of them. So if you're small, when you're closing in, you're gonna get hit on the way in. But galloping as a rhythm and as a closing mechanism allows you to get hit much fewer times.
This is the first time showing the side clinch is a system of attack that we've been using. And right there what you saw was, you can replay it. Sylvie, when you get the side clinch like that, you want to go under the armpit, towards the underhook, and you rotate, 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 and then reverse the rotation to trip.
Yeah, I've been getting very dizzy when I don't reverse it. Oh, that one landed. Yodkhunpon is very generous with me. Like, he really lets me hit him in the face.
He's basically surrendering his body for your work.
Yeah.
He's very, very kind. and he gives this like seriousness of energy. So you feel, look at how I stalk on you. In 1991, that would have ended with 3 elbows and you on the floor.
Death.
Here he's making you deal with that leg
Those
up.
are his elbows.
Oh, those are his
Jesus.
beautiful elbows. Fan sock.
He's been punishing me because when,
this right
when
here.
we clinch, see how my butt goes back? I'm keeping my hips back because I'm trying to make space for my knees. Nice. There you go. So he's really been punishing me because that's kind of one of my biggest flaws right now that I'm holding on to is that gap.
That little butt back thing, which you actually corrected in that clinch exchange.
I did.
But he announced to you about 3 days ago, I'm going to start kneeing you for real.
Yes.
Basically, I'm going to give you a consequence for creating that space.
And he does.
There's a little runaway, baby.
Yep.
And then right back in. Do that right back in.
Yeah, a couple of days ago I got killed against that rope when I gave up kind of as he was bashing on me, and I was pissed at myself for like 2 rounds. Staying in. Girls like to be on the ropes. You fucking stay in the ropes.
Another round
Yeah.
done. Now this is the 3rd round.
Diamond guard.
This we do out of 11 rounds, it's devoted to diamond guard. Diamond guard, for those that don't know, Sylvie has a technique log on it. It's a modification of the old boxing cross-armed guard, but instead of the cross-armed guard being low, it's very, very high, up by the eyebrows, and lots of elbows fall of it.
And I'm struggling with it because I work on it with Kevin,
Oh, look at that elbow.
but the way that Kevin and I work on it is very different than actual live sparring. So plugging it into live sparring, I was really struggling. I was getting kicked a lot, and I have to close distance.
Baby.
The Sumrock elbow.
Yeah, the Sumrock elbow I landed, and actually, the Sumrock elbow is a beautiful elbow because it splits the traditional 11 guard that a lot of people rely on, and actually it lands a lot with Yodkhunpon because he has an 11 guard. Here's an arm loop on the opposite side that you don't usually use with nice framing.
Trying to do 3s in the clinch, which is a little tricky.
It's a really big deal to do 3s inside the clinch because if you're not active in the clinch, especially you, refs will break the clinch.
Yeah. This is also a really good example of how when you're trying to learn something
it's so
or
pretty, babe.
develop something in your style, you have to be punished with it
Like
over
right
and over
there,
again.
he's
Like
hitting you open side kick.
basically you have to find out if there are holes in your boat by putting it in the water.
Totally.
If you never put your boat in the water, you sink once you do. So
You can see right here for the diamond guard, Yodkhupon just hit you with 3 open side kicks, which is a possible weakness of the diamond guard, and you overcoming it by galloping through the hitting zone,
yeah, but
snuffing it.
I'm also really struggling because my upper body and my lower body don't super work together the way I want them to
Boy, look at that.
anyway. But then it's especially so with the diamond guard, and I'm trying to do 3s. So
So pretty.
striking
baby.
out of the diamond guard in 3s is like
It's okay.
lots of things.
This is new stuff, right? Oi, oi,
3.
oi, 3. Oh, it's really beautiful.
Now walk straight back with your hands down.
So we take an emotional moment.
Taking a little cry break. Fix my shin guards.
Sometimes you have the hardest times when you are forced to go into this like ballistic mode, and then you do something really great, and then you need a relief from it.
Yeah.
Which because you're pushing yourself, right?
Yeah. There's a degree of emotional
Oi,
discomfort.
yes.
It's not necessarily like victim discomfort. It even be like aggressive predator energy can be. You need a little break from it.
Totally. Look at this, flashing the guard instead of holding it. He's trying to kick you and punish you.
Get stuck in the ropes, but I have to like
You wormed out.
push my way in. Here we go.
Oh, nice arm loop.
Got my head in.
3. Nice buckle.
Oh!
3,
He's
4.
laughing.
He's laughing. Yodkhunpon actually really likes these Sumrock elbows and reverse elbows.
He does,
He
yeah.
never really used them. He said he only threw 1 reverse elbow, right?
One kind of reverse elbow, which is off of the cock kick. It's kind of the brawn.
Yeah. There, that's you facing your nemesis on the diamond guard, those open side kicks, and just walking through them, which
yeah.
is what you have to do. Oh, it's so pretty.
This is the Muay Thai version of Ming. Is like you can
Yes.
hit me as many times as you want, but you're gonna get it.
You see
at
that?
the end.
Oh man, the galloping on with the diamond guard and then ending with low kicks is very nasty. What are you cracking up about?
I remember this. I can feel it.
You can feel it viscerally.
Yeah.
You're again in the side clinch. Oh, not yet. There you go. In the side clinch.
That was the
That was
bell.
the bell.
Yeah. Look at him. Like,
What were you going to say?
Yodkhunpon is like 50. For him to be sparring with me an hour every day is so kind of him. It's like so.
Look at his little France feet.
I'm like, I'm tired. Like, yeah, he's tired.
So we're now back out of the diamond guard. This is just straight sparring.
Yeah.
You emphasizing staying close, low kicks, threes, right?
I have this coming over his front arm elbow that I actually took from him, but I've altered it to be kind of mine that he really likes. He's susceptible to it quite a lot, and I do like a low kick or a mid kick off of it. That's becoming like a nice.
Did you see it? I didn't see
Yeah,
it.
it just took me a long time to explain it.
Okay.
So there we go.
Oh, there he's throwing. Oh, he threw a little advanced Superman.
So I had to do
you
a
did
Superman.
You did it back. You did it back to him. Oh, he's so awesome.
I'm sideways. He keeps trying to get me to be less sideways when he's against the ropes.
Squared up, right?
He wants me
squared
more
up.
squared. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was a little car hot fake there.
Yeah. I'm too far away. Like.
You can
I'm
see it, right?
keeping him on the ropes, which is fine, but I have to be like a step closer.
So instead of it being a criticism, this is more like what you want to reach for.
Yeah, it's like
Something to reach
it's like
for.
firing a gun at a target. Like you see where it landed, and you're like, okay, the wind is going this way, or like pull it over a little to the left. It's not like, oh, my gun is too far to the right. Like you just re-aim.
Oh, you're standing in pretty good there.
Yeah, I almost threw a diamond guard in. It was a little bit of the like Wonder Woman deflection.
Yeah. And round, right?
No, I hit his
Oh.
elbow with my knee in the fleshy bit. It was very painful.
Little walk around. Oh, look at that continuity.
right?
3 after.
What's nice about it is that in not being a combo, but actually a staying in thing, it makes you forget about the kick that he just landed.
Yeah. Oh, that was so good. Low kick while you're being attacked up top. We did some studying, studying of Tong Bai. Isn't that who it was?
Yeah.
Tong Bai, a Silver Age fighter who threw in this fight against Adun.
Ooh.
He threw like 200 low kicks. They were endless low kicks.
Poor Adun was like died. It was so
but
bad.
it was like you can develop a fighting style that has a lot of up top punches or elbows, and if you just match it with endless short low kicks of the kind like this right here, of the kind Dieselnoy taught you. Dieselnoy learned it from Wichanoi, who kind of abused him with low kicks.
Yeah, he learned it from Wichanoi by fighting Wichanoi. Like he felt it.
And then he taught it to you, this like close range whipping low kick.
Because I'm short, yeah, and Wichanoi was little.
Totally. And so that's a lot of what you're watching here too with all these low kicks is some of this style of like this high-low attack. Right there, boom, boom.
This is, for me,
Oi.
this thing with the threes is like I'm watching my upper body and lower body not work together, and I'm feeling it as we're working, but because you just have to keep going, it's this thing that I've talked about where like you mispronounce words or you like use the wrong one or something, but you just have to keep talking.
Yeah, you're missing this amazing moment.
I'm making a point about why threes are important.
Totally.
Is that instead of stopping and being like, my arms aren't up, like, let it be ugly, like, let it be.
Totally. What was that, number 4?
It was either 4 or 5. I was counting on my fingers and then I moved my hand, so.
Okay, I think this is 5.
I think it's 5.
The reason why I'm emphasizing this good thing is you have a way of like dwelling on things that you're not doing right. And I'm like, look how awesome you are.
Yeah, I was making a point about the positivity of the 3 strikes, actually. Ah, there's a little step off. Like, even each round is kind of different. I'm getting very, like, flurried, but the distance is right. Like, sometimes it's too close.
But he is also stepping in on you now. He's giving you something else too. Oh man, again with the low kick.
That's why we double pad that leg.
That's the 3s right there though, baby. That's the 3s right there.
He's starting to add up on his strikes as well.
There's a gallop and a windshield wiper.
It's nice with him wearing the belly pad because I can really rip those kicks. I, for the longest time, pull my kicks even in fights because I'm just kind of like trepidatious or something.
Yeah.
So to really rip them is good for me.
This is a very good space making that you got on the arm loop because you're not exposing yourselves to knees so much.
Yeah,
allowing
it's my butt and my right leg that I have to keep closer to like stand up and stay close to him. When I let those come back, he's gonna nail me.
Walked him all the way to the...
I was trying to do his throw, actually. It didn't work, so you just keep going. We're firing pretty good power at each other. This is not light strike sparring. So it's also interesting to try to figure out how to breathe and bring your heart rate down under pretty relentless pressure. He's trying to teach me something there, right there. Or you're yelling at me. You were telling me to pivot off of my left foot.
To step with the left foot, yeah. Or push off the left foot for a pivot. Which is hard to do. Carhot Superman.
Works every time.
But now you're adding strikes on top of it because of 3s.
Yeah. That was a failed dodge back, but that's okay. Instead of like stopping and pouting about it, I just came back with other things.
Into the side lock. The side lock, and you're going around and scoring. Reverse direction, like we talked about.
And then an elbow.
Which I want is that little trademark. And you pacing back and forth like a tiger that killed something. Okay. So what you just saw was a few rounds of all 10 rounds that we of Sylvie sparring with Yodkhunpon, the elbow hunter. This part of it is available to everyone on YouTube. And then if you want to see all 10 rounds with commentary, head over to Patron, become a patron supporter. You then can get access to the Muay Thai Library. What's the Muay Thai Library?
The Muay Thai Library is more than 100 hours of long-form instruction from the greatest legends and crews of Thailand. It is the Muay of Thailand in all its variety. And like the sparring video that you're watching here, it's long form. We don't do highlights. So you actually get to see everything kind of play out and understand it in its context. And you have my voiceover to help explain what's being taught or what the trainer is saying to me or what I'm struggling with, something like this. But Yodkhunpon is in there. And as a patron, you are not only getting access to the Muay Thai Library, but you are also supporting documentary projects and my ability to do things like this.
Totally.
Everything.
So if you are interested in Yodkhunpon, I think he has 3 or 4 sessions in the Muay Thai Library where he teaches his style, like his elbow pressure style. Nobody really fought like him in all of the history of Muay Thai in Thailand. And
it's also on demand.
Yeah, and you can also get him on demand. There's 7 hours of him. We'll put a link into the description of both content material.
Yeah.